Hey, what's going on, Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. We actually had players on the field today for the NFL Scouting Combine, so a breath of fresh air to all of us fans that just live and breathe that stuff. One of those position groups that were on the field today was the position group of wide receiver. So I want to focus today's video on that because I honestly think there are going to be options at number 29 in the first round if the Dolphins opt to go that route in the NFL draft. And obviously, we got to see how free agency plays out. We got to see how the first 28 picks of the NFL draft go. But the common denominator from the combine today in regards to the wide receivers position was speed. I believe there were 12 wide receivers that ran under a 4.4. And I just want to get right into it because I'm going to show you some of these guys today that just ran. And the first one being Chris Olave from Ohio State. So he measured in at 6 foot, 187 pounds. He ran a 4.26, straight burning. So I had him in my latest mock draft going at number 26 to the Tennessee Titans, which I love that fit, by the way. However, with how productive he was, with how good he already is as a receiver, and now he's running a 4.26. When I do my next mock draft, I don't think there's any way possible I'm going to be able to let him last that long in the draft. So in regards to the Dolphins, I think Olave is off the board. Let's go to his former teammate at Ohio State because Garrett Wilson, who was 6 foot, 183, he clocked in at a 4.37. So in my last mock, I had him at number 13 to Cleveland. And honestly, pretty much regardless of what he was going to run in the 40 today, how he was going to perform, I actually like him as a prospect more than Chris Olave. I never see him going past 15 to 20 in the NFL draft. So today changed nothing of that for me. If anything, it just solidified him as that top 15 to 20 pick. So another player that Dolphins would love to have, but likely no chance at getting. A receiver that I had going number 22 in my latest mock draft. And honestly, you're going to see a lot of people out there that do mock drafts that have Treylon Burks as their top rated wide receiver. And I don't have a lot of qualms with that, to be 100% honest with you. You got some people that think he's going to go top 10, top 12. He didn't burn today. He ran a 4.5, but at 6'2, 225 pounds, that's plenty fast. Like I said, if anything, he solidified himself as a player that's likely going to be off the board before the Miami Dolphins pick at 29. So let's go to one player who I'm not 100% sure yet if he's going to be on the board or not, but that's Drake London. He didn't run today. He's still coming back from injury, but he's 6'4", 219. Compared to a lot of these guys we've talked about, bigger body. I wouldn't expect him to run all that fast if he would have ran today anyways, but I didn't have him going in the first round in my latest mock draft either. However, if you're looking at some mock drafts, he's pretty much almost going to be in everyone's first round, if not first round, early second round for sure. So there's a chance he's on the board for the Dolphins. I just don't know schematically if he's the exact answer. I'll get into more of that in a little bit here. But moving on, Jameson Williams didn't run today, but measured in at 6'1", 179 pounds. And he pretty much thought he was going to be a little heavier than that, but he did come out and say that he's a little lighter than where he probably would be or would like to be. And that's a lot just dealing with the rehab from the torn ACL. But this guy, man, if he would have ran, just add another player that would have ran under 4.4, potentially around 4.3. Dude would have burned it. And honestly, I mean, I have it going number 28 in my latest mock draft of the Packers. But this is a guy that, depending on what the team is looking for in wide receiver, could go in the teens, could be available for Miami. So don't rule him out as well. The receiver that I did have going to the Dolphins in my first mock draft was Johan Dotson. He measured in at 5'11", 178 pounds, ran a 4.41 today. And I saw some people out there that were a little disappointed by that. But I'm here to tell you, do not worry about that. I think the people that were disappointed by that time were the people that see Dotson as like this only vertical threat, this straight line speed guy, where I see Dotson as such a more of a complete package wide receiver that 4.41 doesn't throw me off whatsoever. I think this is a player that you could see going right before the Dolphins pick, or he's going to be right in that area. So keep him on your radar as well. The next receiver I've got here, David Bell out of Purdue. He measured in at 6'1", 212. pounds. He ran a 4.62, which obviously compared to a lot of these guys is a bit slower. However, he's got that body frame where he's probably not going to be able to carry that size, that weight at a 4.03, like what you're going to see from a guy like what Jamison Williams would have ran. Most drafts, I didn't have him going in the first round. Most drafts, like we said about Drake London, you're going to see him going off in the first, second round. Another guy that I could see potentially being on the board when the Dolphins pick, but like I said about Drake London, I don't think they're going to go with that route in regards to like a stature of wide receiver. And I'll get into that just right now, actually. I think we're going to see the Dolphins really put an emphasis on wide receivers that are fast, can get open on their own, create that separation on all of the routes. And not that Bell and Drake can't do that, but a guy like Dotson, a guy like Williams, a guy like Chris Olave, like those kind of guys are the types of receivers that I see the Dolphins targeting. So don't rule out Bell, but just based on what I'm thinking, when I'm considering to be the type of receiver this team is going to build around, Bell's just not quite in that mold. I got two more guys here that I'm going to touch on yet. And here's another just big-bodied guy. George Pickens measured in at 6'3", 195 pounds. Not only is he a huge frame, he ran a 4.40. You see him projected mostly in the second round. However, at that size, at that speed, we're probably going to see his name jumping up a little bit. And we saw it, especially like if you looked at the end of the year tape from Georgia, when he didn't play in that game against Bama, the offense took a step back. You see him come back. You see how much better that offense looked in the college football playoffs just because of his presence. That was a huge part of it. So watch for him to potentially climb as well. And one more guy that we have to talk about just because he basically blew it up today. Christian Watson out of North Dakota State ran a 4.31 at 6'4", 208 pounds. He also led all of the NFL receivers, or all of the combine receivers in the broad jump as well. So just athletically just shooting off the charts right now. You're going to see him projected likely as a second rounder. But everything we've seen so far this offseason is him just continuing to climb. But where I'm going with this is because of the number of wide receivers that can do a lot of different things and for just how well they did today, you're going to see options for the Dolphins at 29 if they want to go that route. So just doing a little bit of math on this. You got players that I think that will either go before the Dolphins pick or going to go right around that Dolphins pick. So you've got Olave, you got Wilson, you got Burke, you got London, Williams, Dotson, Bell. You got 7 wide receivers. So do the math on that. In the first 29 picks, 7 out of 29 picks being wide receiver would mean that 24% of the first 29 picks would need to be a wide receiver. That's not happening. So what I'm saying is some of those wide receivers that I just rattled off are 100% going to be available when the Dolphins are on the clock. It's just going to come down to what the team does in free agency. Do they take care of the offensive line? Do they grab a linebacker? Who falls in the draft to them at 29? Does their preference at receiver fall to them at 29? A lot of factors to play in here. But what I'm telling you as a Dolphins fan, that if you want the Dolphins to draft a wide receiver in this draft, there's going to be options at 29. It's just going to come down to which kind of receiver the team prefers. So your assignment for this video, if you think the Dolphins are going to take a wide receiver in the first round, leave a comment on who you believe that receiver should be. And if you agree with me and if you want to take a receiver and you think it's Johan Dotson, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. But that's what I've got from today's NFL Scouting Combine. We'll be back recapping some of tomorrow's action tomorrow. Until then, have a good one, Dolphins fans.